What is the 100% basis? If numbers sum up to 100%, show them as part of a whole 100%. However, if numbers don't sum up to 100%, still show them in correlation to each other, but never as part of a whole 100%. Sometimes it makes sense to combine totally different numbers in one graphic. The more different data sets go into one graphic, the more complex, of course. Let me show you an example. This infographic is part of an infographic series I created for the smartphone repair place Click Repair. The outlines of the circles show how many smartphone users, depending on the brand, protect their smartphone with a protective case. 86.1% of Apple users do that, for example. The orange circle fillings show how many smartphone users protect their smartphone with a screen protector. 50.8% of Apple users do that. Case and screen protector both are protective measures for a smartphone, so one topic that is fed by two different number sets. It's important to have a visual distinction between different datasets, so you can compare numbers within the same dataset in an instant. At the same time, it's important to see the correlation between different datasets. I show you an example here. This is one of many infographics I designed for Menor Projektkontor für Bildung und Forschung, funded by the Office for the Equal Treatment of EU Workers and the German Federal Government Commissioner for Migration, Refugees and Integration. It's about notice periods employers are legally obliged to. There are two numbers that correlate to each other but don't run linear. 20 years of employment, see bottom right, are illustrated by 20 dark green trapezoids. When somebody has been employed for 20 years, their boss has to give a 7 months period of notice. 7 months are illustrated by 7 lighter points. So we have 20 years and 7 months. 10 years of employment, however, don't mean 3.5 months of period of notice, but 4 months of period of notice. So the numbers are not linear, as you see. Nevertheless, you can very quickly compare different notice periods with the light dots with each other, and at the same time you instantly see the rise of the corresponding years of employment, the dark green trapezoids. The infographic must serve the purpose of use. If you design an infographic for a social media campaign, for instance, it has to be snappy and quick to digest, quick to absorb. So don't use too much text, and for the text don't use too little font size. I have a test account on Facebook that is invisible to the public, where I always test my social media infographic, so to speak. So testing in a real scenario is always a good thing. On the other hand, however, if you design an infographic for a poster, for a fair stand, for instance, you can of course design an infographic that is much more complex and has more data and more numbers and more text on it, because people at a fair will stand in front of the infographic, in front of the poster, and spend time reading it rather than scrolling down on Facebook. A good infographic looks good despite using only a few colors. Color differences can be achieved by working with shades. To give you an example, I have a green color, then I add 10, 20 or 30% of white into the green, or 10, 20, 30% of black into the green. So I have a green shade color spectrum that looks very well together. I think it's best to use a maximum of 5 to 8 different colors within one infographic. And very outstanding colors can be used for certain highlights or for navigation bars to allow for an easy orientation for the reader. Sometimes you have to make differences visible even though they are not very visible. I show you an example here. This is again one of the infographics of the Click Repair study I mentioned earlier. This one is about the repurchase probability by device. The differences lie between 90 and 97%. This graphic doesn't really show the differences very well. This is the graphic that I delivered to the client in the end. The focus lies on the area between, let's say, 87 and 97%. However, you must not simply shorten the bars, as this would visually falsify the data. It's important to include this icon, which shows a break of the 100% line. So people know, okay, this graph is, so to speak, zoomed in into the upper percentage area to make the differences more visible. Thanks very much for watching. More tips on infographics and other design-related topics can be found on my website. Bye for now.